I will say, this run of episodes, man, I think I have decided that there's no point in hoping for explanation or logic anymore.
Welcome back, everybody, to a Weimer Gamer sub pod called Subspace Transmissions.
God, I love that name so much.
I know it's pretty good. I don't,
Such a good name.
our Star Wars name is pretty good too.
I enjoyed listening to that first one that has gone up at this point, and probably I don't know if there's a second one coming before this goes up or not, but
Unlikely, no.
okay, okay. The name Carbon Scoring is like a really good like podcast name. I'm just very happy with that name. I like it a lot.
I like them a lot. Yeah, I like where we've landed on these two, and if we ever have to come up with more, I'm very confident in our abilities now.
People should hire us to do this for them because
I know,
clearly
right?
we're good at it.
Yeah. We're not great podcasters. We're great podcast namers. That's our specialty. Just we're gonna come up with podcast names for 50 minutes every podcast now. Oh, this episode is Discoveries, episode 3, 4, and 5. Obviously, spoilers.
We're doing season 2 here.
Season 2, yes. Episodes 203, 204, and 205 if you go by conventional TV nomenclature. I agree with you. It is now just we do what we want, and you'd better come along for the ride. The series.
Yeah. I think I was still like, my notes change in tenor somewhere through middle of the 4th episode here.
And I bet you right around the same time.
Oh, probably, probably. And at some I'm all skeptical and trying to pick apart like why anything is happening here in the first episode 3, and then like halfway through episode 4, I just wrote like, whatever, man, okay.
I have extensive notes on episode 3 of like, wow, this is where we're headed with this show. There's so much happening here. There's like tons of politics. There's all sorts of cool stuff that we're going to get into. Episode 4's notes are pretty short comparatively, and episode 5 notes get even shorter. I think I sat there in episode 5 with my mouth just agape at a certain point, being like, what are we doing
here, man?
What are we
doing here, man?
What are we even? Okay. Yeah.
I have we'll talk about it when we get there.
Yep.
Episode
sure will.
3.
All right. It opens up with a scene about Tilly. We're just gonna jump through. We always do it this way, where we kind of talk about what happens in each episode, and then either pick apart individual pieces or talk about the thing as a whole. So we open with a scene on Tilly, who's having a lot of trouble focusing on the bridge. Right? I think. She freaks out. Or is that later?
Yeah. I think that's later. Don't we start with meeting
This is running. She's running.
Yeah, and she does some running.
And she does some running, and we get the reminder that she's got a problem with her head.
Right. She sees her friend that she saw at the end of the
May.
last episode.
It took me half of episode 3 to remember her name was May.
Yeah, I was pretty confused about that as well. Again, this show does a bad job of introducing and naming characters.
Hey, you know what? I know another bridge character's name now, because Pike is very good about saying Owo's name.
Yes, thank you, Pike, for clearly enunciating anyone's name when you say it instead of like yelling it out of the side of your mouth like everyone else seems to do.
Pike, oh man, I have some thoughts about Pike at the end of this. They're good
get
thoughts.
There when we
They're
get
good
there.
Thoughts. They're good. Okay. They think Sarek's shown up to help them find Spock, but nope, it's Amanda.
Yeah,
the
Burnham's
reveal
mother, but not, I guess, biological mother, but her mother that she was raised with. Human mother, though, right?
Yeah. And at this point now, this show, to me, has become quite a bit about Sarek and Amanda and Spock, and integrating Burnham into that.
Mm-hmm.
This is a moment when I want to wonder something out loud. Do you think whatever's wrong here that we find out about later continues on, and that is how they reconcile Spock having never spoken of Burnham?
Oh yeah, it's got to be the stuff that happens here has to be like they can't end this series or show with Burnham and Spock being like cool. We're cool with each other. We love each other now, like brother and sister.
Right, something has to happen here, right? So that
Well,
these
so I mean, we didn't get to it yet, but it happens later where Burnham mentions that like whatever she did something to Spock or something basically made him hate her.
Hey,
And
we got to stop for a second. You are breaking up so bad I can't understand you.
oh, microphone. Oh yeah. Wow. This is yeah. I see.
You want to wait for it to come back for a minute? Try and reconnect? What do you want to do?
Yeah. Give me a sec. Let me. How about this? Better. Better.
Sounds normal now, yeah.
Okay. The
So
bars
let's
were dipping down into the yellow and red, and now they are back to the green.
okay. So let's give me a tiny little editing gap so I can see it, and then we'll just jump backwards so you can make your point again. After I basically said, do you think they'll keep Burnham out? So just give it a 5 count, and then you can start again.
Because they can't end where they can't end this series with Burnham and Spock being all like buddy buddy and loving each other like siblings should, right?
Right.
Because it wouldn't make any sense, right? This happens before the original series. Like Kirk isn't there, and Spock never talked about Burnham anytime ever.
I mean, we've seen
After
Spock
that,
in very vulnerable moments where you'd think like,
he's talked about his father and his relationship with him,
yeah,
and we've explored that pretty extensively in various Star Trek media.
so
So
it's really hard now that I think about it. And this is going to be an issue when they do that next Star Trek show, The Strange New Worlds.
mhm.
And this is a problem Star Wars has, actually, that we've been talking about in our carbon scoring chat. When you work your way backwards and you keep prequeling things people like, you're painted into a corner. And so when you do something like add Burnham, right?
Yep.
What do you do to keep it consistent in the future? I'm very curious now that she is so integrated. It's fine in the first season where you're like, she's like not included in the family. Sarek comes to terms with the fact that he was a bad father to her at the end of season 1 there.
Right.
And
right.
that could have been kind of it, right? Where it's like, I was a bad father to you. We can have a nice relationship when we run into each other now because I've realized this. And they could have left it there, but now we're like so integrated with Spock.
What if the end result of all this is Burnham is chasing Spock the entire series and we like don't really see him or they don't meet?
Okay, well, we know they cast a Spock.
Right. But I mean that doesn't mean Burnham and Spock have to be in proximity and actually talk to each other.
True,
right?
and that's true, and they've written a way that that's possible. Later on, we find out about Section 31 and their mission. So, anyway, I'm just curious if you thought they had to write a way in for them. I could gotta do something so the Spock doesn't have a reason to talk about her. Either at the end of Discovery, they've got to have a plan for that. Of like, he doesn't talk about her because she died. She did, like something.
Right. Or maybe some kind of thing where like, he and her come to some kind of agreement that like we're just going to pretend each other don't exist because family drama or whatever.
Yeah, we'll get there. We jump to Konos now it's changed in pronunciation again according to Ash Tyler. Konosh.
Yeah,
Konosh now.
Look, man, the planet is named Kronos. Can we just call it that?
Can we just stick to Kronos? It's been Kronos since forever. And 2 things happen.
People don't rename their planets usually, is what I'm saying.
I agree with you. The D7, beautiful rendition of the D7, in which
it looked good.
They have decided they're creating a new empire. And I love this moment where they're like, for our new empire, a new ship. And We
Yeah.
will all, as one, build this and use it, and that explains that. It's like, okay, cool. I like this. Like,
Yeah.
we're writing back a way to explain we're not a disparate culture anymore, and later on in the series, when you only see the D7, this is why.
Yeah. My only note about this scene is that man, Ash looks really rough.
Ash looks. Well, my note about this scene was, why do all the Klingons have hair now?
Yeah. I
I'm okay
still
with
don't
it.
like the hair is fine. I don't have a problem with the hair. I still don't like the design of the Klingons in this show at
Uh,
all.
I
Why did you
noticed.
change it?
I
Go back to the old
noticed.
one.
I noticed some of the Klingons are starting to look more like the other Klingons. You know what I mean? Like
So the first season design of the Klingons was abysmal.
terrible,
It's just awful, unbelievably bad. This
really,
season
really
has
terrible
been less good. It's
than the
less
original.
bad,
Yeah, but still
but
less
it's
good. I
still
think.
less good.
I think they're
Yeah.
doing the work as fast as they can to be like, we're correcting it. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Like,
I guess. Yeah, maybe it's just like
they gotta.
every 2 or 3 episodes they change it a
So
little bit.
next time we go back to Konosh, we'll. I'm
Don't
just.
even.
I had to say it one more time to really get it out, and now I'm just going back to
Flip
Chrono.
this desk over
I'm
and
going-
leave this
I'm-
office.
I'm going back. It's Kronos. Okay. I think they're doing the thing, like you said. Every 2 episodes, 3 episodes, they're gonna go back to Kronos, and it'll be like, and now we've developed a united uniform, and we'll have the Klingon uniform from
Yeah,
back
sure.
in the day. You know, like
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
okay, all right, so sounds good. Although at the end of this, she calls herself Mother, and I don't remember that being a thing. So. They address the hair later of like, oh, now that the war's over, they've cut their hair, or they've let their hair grow out again, or something. You know, like I don't
Whatever, sure.
whatever.
Okay.
But then why
Again-
don't they ever cut their hair again? You know what I
Again,
mean?
you're looking for logic because
Yeah.
it doesn't.
Yeah.
This show doesn't have any, as we discover later.
Okay, my big notes here going into the next scene: huge capital YES. No more holograms while Pike's around.
Which they then immediately stop doing.
Well, other people do it, but multiple times they have started to assail the hologram, which I'm happy about.
Yeah, I think the holograms are dumb, so I'm happy to see them just do view screens.
I do love it though. Like one of the people is like, so it's you and my grandmother that are the only people that still use view screens there, Pike. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, so what? I don't care.
It's like, call me old fashioned. I am.
Yeah.
I am calling you old fashioned.
Yep. So Spock is accused of killing some doctors and escaping his psych ward,
Right.
and has been seeing the Red Angel since he was a kid, according to Amanda. And then my big notes here: capital NOOOO hologram.
Yeah. I also, it's just like, well, obviously the solution to all of this is to let's just break into his files and steal all of his personal medical records, because parents don't have any right to know about that stuff. So we
Yeah.
just, we
Yeah,
have to break
exactly.
in
Well,
and steal it. It's the
I
only thing that
guess-
makes sense.
I guess it makes more sense later once you realize Section 31's involved and people are covering for it. But it's hard. It's hardly written into it here, right? Where like
Yeah.
Pike is doing his best, but there's a missing piece here where maybe the writers should have been like Pike says, this is kind of unusual. I'm getting the runaround when I shouldn't be.
I just don't I don't understand what world exists where Starfleet says, "Sorry, Mom, you can't know what's happening to your child."
Well, Burnham in fact says that. She's like, you're his next of kin. Like there's no reason.
Oh, okay. Amanda can't get it. Call Sarek.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Sarek has diplomatic problem.
Yeah.
There's no way Sarek couldn't get this information, right?
Right.
And then
sure. Yeah, but so I'm gonna give him credit here. They said this, and Amanda's like, Sarek's not gonna help him. He can't. I'm the one that has to help him, right? Because Sarek can't
Sure,
acknowledge that
Sarek-
he's having an emotional breakdown, basically.
Sure. Sarek would say oh, it's It's not Vulcan of him to have this problem anyway, so I'm going to ignore it.
Right,
Because as
exactly.
we've established, Sarek, not the great father.
Not the best father figure. Um, the I wrote down Mind Woman here because I still hadn't remembered May's name. Uh, drives her nuts, and then this is where she breaks down on the bridge,
Yeah, so Tilly
and
does start losing it on the bridge here.
and uh, and we know we're finally going to get a resolution to the crazy thing, and it's not going to last all season, which is a good feeling. And yeah, so it's a weird time over there on Discovery. Bounce back to Kronos. L'Rell and Volk had a son, so Ash is like, I'm gonna do this thing and be a human dad to your baby, who is also an albino like Volk was. It's a little
Yeah, I
weird.
mean,
After he's said he doesn't want to, he wants to be there, but he doesn't want to be there. There's a lot of drama happening on Kronos.
look, first off, you can see Ash and L'Rell, sorry,
Yeah.
or Voke and L'Rell, I guess, whoever, Ash Voke
Ash Volk.
and
I like that.
and L'Rell
Volk
are having
Tyler.
some, yeah, having some problems.
Not going well. Things are not
Not,
going so good. People
it's
don't
not
like him being
really.
there.
I mean, you can see it, right? Like, seems like something that would happen among Klingons.
Definitely. We just sort of didn't win a war against these people, and now the second in charge of the Empire is a human being, kind of.
Yeah,
Not going to work
great.
out.
Not great.
Not gonna
So
work out.
their relationship already on thin ice.
Yeah.
And then we discover that L'Rell actually had a kid with Vogue before Vogue underwent the like modification or whatever to become Ash.
Did you catch this part where she says, I had the baby ex utero?
Yeah, they cut it out of her and she had it outside.
She had it in
yeah.
a pod. That was kind of an interesting, like, huh. Okay.
I mean, it's the future, so of course they could do that, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I don't like this storyline. I'm just gonna say, I think
Well,
this is bad.
You don't have to live with it for very long.
Well, fair, but like you didn't have to do this. Why did you bring the baby up here? You didn't need this. They could have just done the same thing as they were doing before, where they have relationship problems, and then the Klingons want to kill him, and so then L'Rell has a change of heart because she's Klingon. You didn't need the baby at all.
I think
I
the
didn't like this.
baby's okay. Well, we'll get. I think the baby is a bigger thing than we think it is.
I guess. Well, who knows? I mean, you think they're going to come back to it later?
I
Is
think
that
they're
what you're
going to
saying?
come back to it later.
He sent it away to the. I don't know, whatever. Spoilers. Who cares? We're doing spoilers anyway.
Yeah.
At the
well,
end of this episode,
the end of
he
the
sends it
episode-
away to some magical monastery where it'll never be seen again.
Right. Yeah.
So
No one
that's
can
your-
ever leave the mod. They say it so many times that I kind of don't believe it. Right? Like Burnham
Yeah.
says it. He says, or not Burnham. Yo says it.
Yeah,
Giorgio.
Giorgio. Yeah.
Giorgio says it. He says it. Leland says it. Like it's so many times. They're like, "You sure the baby can't leave? Right? The baby can't leave. No one can come here. The baby can't." It's like,
I think that's just them reassuring you that Ash isn't
that-
a bad father, and now you can be okay with his character.
and
See,
also like they're trying to say definitely it's not coming back. I don't know. Okay,
I don't
maybe
know either.
maybe you're right.
My point
Maybe
is, this was bad. What if they didn't do that instead, and Ash just had a
It certainly
character
seems like
flaw
something
for the
they
rest of
could've-
his life?
Yeah,
And like, oh, I still kind of love L'Rell. That would have been a thing, but
It's-
instead now no.
it seems like they could have written the storyline where Ash is kidnapped instead of the baby, and like they use Ash to try and get her to step down. It seems as
It's
simple.
the same scene, right? It's almost the same scene, right?
You
But instead of
basically just
her-
don't get to have him fighting, right?
right. Instead of her and him fighting together, you would have to have her fighting by herself for a little bit until she frees him, and then they can fight together. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah,
This is
I
what
don't
we
know.
got.
This is what we got. I
didn't like it, but I didn't like. I don't know.
They have
It's
to
not
get
as
to the
bad as
same
other
point. They
things.
probably could have got to the same point a different way. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like where they leave it, right? Like
Yeah, sure. I think getting here was good because it allows L'Rell to like actually do the like full
Klingon
Klingon
things,
stuff and
yeah.
and the houses have really no way of opposing her anymore. Hopefully, it means we see less Klingons, which I would actually be okay with, just
Uh,
because I don't like how they look.
I'm
Um,
curious. I mean, I'm curious if they're gonna do a whole thing about the Empire being built and like trying to catch it up to what we see by
I mean, I think
original
we're gonna see
series
him.
Star Trek.
I think we're gonna see him again. I don't see how we won't.
Yeah,
Like it would be. It would seem silly to me for them not to show up again.
of
So
course.
I don't know.
Um. Okay, so we jump back to Amanda and Burnham after that scene, and
Is this the part where we find out that the angel saved Burnham when she was a child?
yes. So the first appearance of the Angel was to Spock when Burnham was kidnapped, I think, or taken or something when she was lost. What? Where was
No,
she?
when she was on that in that sensor that got burned down when her parents were killed.
That's where Spock told
Spock told Sarek that she would
Sarek to
be
be
there,
there.
and that's
Okay.
why he went there
Okay.
because Spock saw the angel telling
Him that Burnham would be
him
there.
that Burnham would be there, and so
So
then he sent Sarek.
so then apparently after Spock slammed the door on Burnham in that first scene, she says that Spock became her little shadow, and then she was afraid of terrorists, so she hurt him.
Yeah,
And then Amanda comes to the conclusion that she must have done something ultra terrible for Spock not to forgive her for this long, and then she walks out on her.
yeah. I mean, the way Burnham says it, it makes it sound like she did something pretty terrible.
I
So
I agree with you. I have a little bit of trouble here, and I took notes about it because I don't want to say it's only as a parent, but definitely as a parent. I don't know. She considers Burnham her daughter,
hmm
or at least we've been led to believe that she considers Burnham her daughter. Maybe
I mean, she says
this is
that
a
at other points. I
character
feel.
development that we needed to get to, but without knowing any details, she's just like, "Well, you hurt my son, so see you later."
Yeah.
I don't. I get that she's angry, but that's a weird. I don't know how that tracks, but it is what it is. I don't know what that
Yeah.
means. I don't know how.
I,
It must be a way for them to have removed her from the show, I guess, so that.
yeah. I don't know. Because why would she just leave?
Right. Yeah.
Like
What's
she
she
has
gonna do on
her
her
character.
own that
Yeah,
the
exactly.
ship that's looking for Spock isn't gonna do?
She has no motivation to leave here. So this is like them saying, and here is this piece we needed to start this thing. What do we do with this? We're about to drop it. Throw it away. Like I
Very
really
odd.
inelegant and nonsensical from the character's perspective, right?
Right.
And
Burnham's
this
got a
was
ship looking for Spock. Why would she
why
leave?
would she go anywhere else? Yeah,
Yeah.
stay on the ship.
Yeah.
They got extra quarters. Put her up somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
Pike's nice. He would let her stay.
Pike would let her stay. Pike would absolutely let her stay, but I don't know. I don't know what that one's about. That might be the weirdest one. Um Okay, then we get to the baby stolen and fight scene. I think
I think we see a scene before that of Tilly
Oh.
definitely losing it.
definitely she breaks down and tells Burnham about May.
Right.
Here I have a note that said, "Boy, I'm sick of these camera angles."
The
They did 4 or 5 times in this episode the spin cam, where it like starts at an angle and then spins with a character or spins on an object or spins.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So like
I
Burnham's
did not
laying
notice
down in
this.
her bed at this point, and then she sits up and the camera sits up with her. And I was like, "Ooh, my stomach."
I didn't notice that, but it does get pretty frantic at some points here. As we start getting towards the end of this.
Oh yes, the franticam with Tilly. It starts bad at the beginning and gets worse by the end, where she's just like, it's the schizocam.
Yeah, like I'm
It's
freak.
an insensitive way to say that.
Out.
I'm sorry, but
The I'm freaking out camera angle, and we have to like sharp cut anytime you turn any part of your body,
yeah.
so that it just like you can't follow anything that's going on.
Yeah. Not the way I would have did it, but
The we don't have actors, so we cut it to make them look
oh,
like
that's
what we
not
want.
fair.
Dude, that's what it felt like to me.
Okay.
It's just like we couldn't get the acting we wanted, so we just cut it to make it look crazy. Like I don't
Yeah,
know. I
I don't
didn't like
know.
it.
I don't know what's up with that because I found her more believable when she's trying to struggle to be the Terran captain of the ship. I
Yeah,
found her
like
very
yeah,
credible.
that was great.
I found her
I
very
liked
credible
that. That
as an
was great. That was
actress.
some of the best part of season one.
And then this time around, when they try to do a storyline with her, I'm not finding her as credible in her
Yeah.
struggle. I don't get what the deal is with that.
And I just didn't like it here. I think by the time, we get the resolution of what happens with it at the end of this, but by the time we moved on to the next episode and stuff, I thought it was better.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know what was up with this part. It was weird.
Maybe they struggled to put the pieces together in editing or something.
Maybe.
But they basically said that she needs to go talk to Stamets, right?
Yeah. Burnham magically intuits somehow that
Oh, because
you because
Tilly
it
cries.
happened after you were hit on the head. So definitely this is an engineering
Well,
problem, not a medical problem.
Tilly cries and then says that May doesn't know what crying is. And so Burnham's like, but everybody cries, so she must be an alien.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the again the Burnham ex machina of this show.
She gets it. She's got the Burnham. It's really kind of strange. Every single time there's a problem, Burnham walks into the scene and is like, "Hello, I am a human Vulcan and have your solution."
Did you just say you've got a problem? Yo, she'll solve it. Check out the beat while the DJ revolves
That's
it.
exactly what I said.
saying?
That's what I'm saying. Yep.
But it's true though. The show does this like in every single episode. Burnham walks in and is like, "Here's the answer to your problem. I thought about this, and the answer is X, Y, Z."
I heard about the problem in the turbo lift and I have the answer already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like whatever. I don't know. Star Trek always has these characters that just like Geordi
Data,
walks in
right?
and is
Geordi,
like,
Data,
or Scotty
Spock.
walks in and is like, "Captain, I can tell you how to do X, Y, Z or whatever." It's like, but you're not gonna like it, and But yeah, it's I get it, but also
Yeah.
like it's especially egregious when the jump in logic it for this one in particular is so crazy. It's like a girl, a person with a potential mental illness doesn't understand their emotions. This must be an alien. That's not what. Anyway, I don't know. Whatever. I can't hate this too much because I liked more where it goes later. But I thought that this particular leap in logic was the biggest one I think I've seen.
Oh, that's the biggest one?
Thus far.
Okay. That's
Hold
the
on,
biggest
we
one
get
in
some-
episode 3.
Yeah. It gets worse later.
And
And then we have that sweet fight scene.
The best scene in the show, in this episode of the show. I'm very happy the blood is purple.
Yes. I actually took a note on that. I was like, the color is right.
The color of the blood is correct. They did a great job with that. And then I have 2 lines of the word yes because Giorgio shows up, and I'm very happy she's still part of the show.
I like Michelle Yeoh.
I do.
As an actress,
she just
and-
sells that character so hard to me.
She's just unbelievably slimy and like
But in a great
so
way.
confident and like just like it doesn't matter what you do. I'm here and I'm gonna do my thing. It's great.
She's just
So
she's just every part of what you would expect a Section 31 officer to be.
Philippa Georgiou Super Spy, the show, I think I might like better than this one.
I really could. It could be season 3 Star Trek Discovery Section 31, the subtitle, right? And like we get, well, hopefully we stick with what we got, where it's like a 3-part series. You got a little bit on Discovery, you got a little bit of the Klingons, and 40 minutes of Philippa Georgiou, the after adventures.
The new Terran Empress.
I put at the end of this, this is now a Section 31 appreciation pod.
Well, I don't know how I feel about that after episode 5, but yeah.
I mean,
I appreciated it here for sure. Not
I
gonna lie.
certainly thought at this point that she was Section 31.
Yeah, I did. Definitely, I thought that too here.
I
And
got
it
the
was like,
feeling like they
oh,
had.
like they founded 31 for her.
Well, we
And like,
knew, we knew based on season 1 of Discovery that Section 31 already existed because there were Section 31 officers protecting Stamets's lab on the Discovery.
were there? Okay.
Yes,
I didn't make that connection before, I think.
but I got the impression that the admiral was like, "You're the Terran Emperor. You're now in charge of Section 31," which I thought was a crazy leap, but I liked it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's like, would she accept a post as like a lowly operative having been the emperor before? You know, how far down can you make the emperor step before
I'm
the
not.
emperor's not going to accept your job offer?
I'm relatively convinced your point will be taken against Mr. Leland at some point.
Possibly with a knife and
I mean, she
and
already has
filibuster
threatened
show.
him by the end of season 5 or episode 5 here.
Yeah.
Okay. More thoughts on 3. 3 is a relatively straightforward episode other than the intuitive leaps.
Yeah, I mean, again, the intuitive leaps, and they get worse, I think, as these episodes go on, which is why, like you and I both said, I think both of us started taking less notes as it went on, as it just became clear it's time to just buckle in and stop and turn off the brain because there's no intention of letting this roller coaster go. So
Yeah. It's much more narrative through these arcs than TNG really is.
oh yeah,
TNG builds
and
a narrative of its
even more than the early episodes of Discovery, right? Like
absolutely.
I
Yeah.
would say those first like first half of the first season of Discovery was kind of like, will they or won't they do a show of the week kind of thing?
Yeah.
And then they stumbled in on the the spore stuff and the Terran stuff later. But
Man, the spore stuff. Oh.
well, speaking of spore stuff,
Ugh. I'm talking about this spore stuff when I say ugh.
yeah.
Can we just shut down the spore drive forever, please?
Well, I suspect we're gonna get there.
Yeah, it sounds like they finally have written a way to actually shut down the spore drive. Right? Like
They're definitely
this is it.
they're definitely starting on that path of like this is bad and
It's
we should stop it.
immoral, yeah. Okay, so thankfully I didn't ruin too much of the show for you because finally you see Rebecca Romaine,
Yeah. Number one.
number 1. And Chief, she mentions Chief
Lady.
Bouvier. I don't know if you caught this.
Nope.
Really
Don't know.
funny reference here where they say I'm sorry you're in dry dock sitting around with the Enterprise. I know that you'd rather be out here in space with me, but you need to take care of my ship. And she says, "Don't worry, Chief Bouvier, I think is what she says, has got it. Like he's got the Enterprise on lock. I don't think we'll ever have another chief that loves the Enterprise as much as him." Which clearly, if you know Scotty,
Is wrong.
yeah.
I did not catch that, and I love that now.
I also love the follow-up line, which comes from Pike, where he's like, "Yeah, you're absolutely right." And then she tells him what's wrong with the Enterprise, and he's like, "That dang hologram system, just rip it out. We're going with view screens."
I love that part, and they're just like, we're just gonna tear it all out.
The Enterprise,
Because
yeah,
they do.
yeah. The Enterprise will not have holograms, thanks to Captain Pike. You're welcome. Kirk keeps
love
up the tradition.
I love it.
Every part of that is good. Of like,
Yes.
hey, we added this hologram thing, but we got to worry about the
It is
later
the-
seasons of this.
It is the like it's good fan service,
It
right?
really is. It really is like, because then you have to imagine that every captain of the Enterprise going forward must be adhering to Pike's order on not having holograms on board. It's kind of like a Battlestar
Yeah.
Galactica thing of like, don't network the ship.
Right. Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
like, right? It's got to be. They have to have, I don't know. I want to build my own fan fiction about why there's no holograms on the Enterprise. By the time
like
you get
the
to the
idea
E
that-
and F, you know?
maybe we get to some point and the Federation just bans them because everyone realizes they hate them.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's like I'm trying to think what the parallel is. Like in the '90s, phone companies tried to make people do video calling all the time. It was a
Yeah,
thing they
yeah,
wanted to make work, and no one liked it.
yeah. Well, I mean,
And eventually, they stopped doing it because no one liked it.
I remember in like the mid '90s, Palm Pilots were coming out,
Mm-hmm.
and like they were so intrinsically awful to use because the technology just hadn't gotten good enough. You
Mm-hmm.
had to use the pen, you had to tap the screens really hard. Every screen shifted to a new screen. It was like an e-ink screen that we have now, where
Yep.
like there was nothing you could do to use them quickly. They took so long. And so like, yeah, maybe the fan fiction is actually these holograms kind of are really unreliable and kind of suck and they can be hacked and like
Or like the holograms just like aren't good, and the people using them are bad, and so you just get like, oh, I was sorry, I didn't like, normal people, non-Starfleet officers or whatever, just end up hating them because like it's too easy to like turn on a hologram of you on the shitter or something. Like people just don't like them, so
it's
they
like
just stop
Zoom.
using it.
Zoom.
And Starfleet gets rid of it too because no one likes it. Like,
Yeah, Starfleet's like, man, these holograms, it's just like such a security threat. People are always in our hologram calls.
yeah. Oops, we keep appearing to the captain while he's in his ready room, like, and they see sensitive information. Like,
Yeah.
okay, we got to
Yeah.
stop this.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So number one is looking into Spock for him. And she says it's a conspiracy.
Oh boy.
And that's about all we get out of Rebecca Romaine. Other than that,
Bye.
she eats hamburgers
Oh
with
yeah, with
shakes.
a hamburger, a milkshake, and what was it, like habanero sauce or something? She
Yeah.
said
Hmm.
that sounds like a hamburger I would like. Not gonna lie,
I would eat it.
I would eat it.
Yeah. Good for her.
Yeah.
We get
Uh,
a new
but
security
let's talk about
officer from the Enterprise named Commander Nan, and let's talk about what.
yes. Oh, no, we keep talking about the security officer. It's
I
good.
don't I don't know anything about her other than that she pops up in the middle of this and now she's around.
Yep.
But hey, they said her name very clearly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Finally.
Saru has a cold, which
But we gotta talk
doesn't
about
track
Tilly's
later.
blob. It
Just
doesn't?
remember, he woke up with a cold, and then they get grabbed out of warp by a blob.
Well, I was actually going to talk about Tilly's blob
Oh yeah, let's talk about the Tilly blob.
because I think that happens first, right?
No,
No?
no. Well, they grabbed the blob out of Tilly at the end of the third episode, or no?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. It's kind of like a whatever moment. Anyway, maybe it's here. No. Yes.
I think it is here. I think it is here.
Yeah, I think it's
they
here.
They find out she is infected with it at the end of the last one.
Right, and then they
And
rip it
then
out
they're
of her
like,
with this one.
they rip it out of her here. And so there's this little like blob in containment or whatever.
Yeah,
And then it escapes later.
she's infected by a thing from the mycelial network.
a yeah, a
Mycelial.
symbiotic fungus or something.
Yeah. Hooray! It was an alien, like we said. No, it was at the end of 3 because Saru is in the. He's in Stamets' lab when they find it, so it has to be at the end of 3. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
It truly doesn't. You're
Right. So Saru is already sick, and then they get grabbed out of the warp by another blob. Lots of blobs in the episode.
A lot of blobs in this episode, yeah. Very blobby.
Interesting thing, I guess. In space, you would be a blob. I don't really. There's no reason to have a shape.
Yeah. I wasn't mad about this blob thing.
It's pretty frenetic, this episode. I wish it was way less frenetic. There's a lot of like panic. TNG would be very calm about this kind of thing.
Yeah, they would all go into the ready room or the meeting room, right, and sit around at the table, and everyone would have a discussion. Picard would be like, all right, Worf, what do you think we should do? We should shoot
Shoot
it.
it.
Okay, great. Riker, what do you think we should do? We should
Shoot
call
it.
for backup. Okay. Geordi, what do you think we should do? We should study it. Great. Data, what do you think we should do? You should talk to it. Okay. Troy, do you feel anything? They would go around the table. They'd have all a discussion, and then Picard would pick shoot it or call for backup or whatever.
Yeah.
And that would be the story. Instead, we get a lot of like characters not talking to each other and running around making decisions.
Yeah. Everyone's flying around, and Pike doesn't seem to have control, really, other than like, good, I like your idea. Go for it. Whatever. I don't know what we're supposed to do here. We're losing Spock because they're tracking Spock at this point in time.
Right. And so this massive sphere blob thing rips them out of warp somehow magically, and then proceeds to like assault the ship kind of with
in
this
some
like
sort of
sonic and virus thing.
sonic virus or whatever, and there's a funny moment where everyone starts speaking weird languages.
I did actually like that.
I did too.
Like the Oo and the Helms lady.
Yeah.
Where like Oo's like, am I speaking like
What is that? Russian? Pike
am I
starts speaking
Russian?
French in the middle of a ready room meeting.
It was very good. And the the Helms person was like, why is this terminal in Arabic? But she said it in like Italian or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's like pretty good. The
Pretty
whole
good.
scene was funny.
Jet Reno reappears randomly.
Hey, we thought she wasn't on the ship anymore, but we were wrong.
Weird, right? Is she just going to be a bit character? I think so.
I think so, based on this.
Because then in episode 5, she's gone again, right? She doesn't come back in 5? Or she does for a minute?
Was she in 5?
I'm trying to remember.
Maybe she was standing around in the engineering room for a minute.
For a minute, I think. But like, you know?
I think this is. I think the reason I think she's here is they felt like they needed an actual engineer because Stamets is like a biologist at this point, right?
Right. But she's not the chief engineer. So like,
No, she has no power. She's just the like, I like machines.
right.
She's like Donatello, and then Donatello does machines and is smart.
She also loves insulting people, apparently.
That's not like Donatello though.
And is very wry when people try to insult her back.
Yeah.
She's just like, I'm unassailable, bro. Can't harsh my groove, man.
Yeah, she's like a really burnt out hippie.
She's a very burnt out hippie. That is a good description because like she's definitely not high,
No, yeah.
but she just
So she's
is
like-
not having anything at all.
Yeah. She's just like I'm disillusioned but still like punk rock, man. Woo.
She's a retired punk.
Yeah. Something, man.
Something's going on there. Everything goes mad wrong, and the thing escapes and attaches itself to Tilly again. But this
Yeah,
time
in an
on the
extremely gross
outside.
way.
On the outside.
Yeah.
Oh boy, oh boy. And then I stopped taking notes.
I wrote Tilly's blob becomes Tilly the blob. I thought that was funny of me.
I don't like what it implies that people don't know what's happening in the episode, so that can't be the episode title, but it's funny. That is funny.
It the sphere Saru somehow intuits that the sphere is talking, not like assaulting them or something, and then says, "Oh wait, it must be a last contact."
No, man. Is it Saru? Because I think this is another Burnham solved it.
Burnham X Machina here. I didn't write down who said it.
No, I think you're right that Saru says this is the last contact, but Burnham's the one that seems to like give him the idea that like because Saru is dying, it must mean the blob is dying. Like
Right.
we're so emotionally
Saru
connected
says
to the
that, though.
universe. Okay, but it's like there's this weird like
The
love.
blob triggers his death process or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. He's dying because the blob is dying, and it's like this is where I start to get into. Saru was already sick before they were at the blob. I don't.
Pre-sickness, man. Pre-knowing. That's
He.
how in tune he was. He knew the future, man. Dude,
We are
God.
so emotionally connected to other beings that I'm dying because the blob is dying. I
It's a bad species, man.
Yeah. Well, kind of is a bad species.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. This Saru Burnham love
Also, like,
fest happens two
also,
times in this episode, and both times it goes on way too long.
yes, 100,000% agree.
Way too.
Also,
I almost stopped taking notes because I was just like, I can't focus on this. I don't care what they're saying. And then thankfully my ears picked out that it was a last contact. I was like,
is last contact a thing? That's not a thing, right? I've never heard that before. I get the idea of like, oh, I want to be remembered in the future so that I have like that's a thing. I've never ever heard anyone say last contact like that was a thing that people would know or understand the concept of if you just said it.
I don't think that it's a thing that I've ever heard in Star Trek before, but they've definitely had episodes in multiple series about like epitaphs to a forgotten
This
or dying
idea, right?
thing. Yeah.
Totally, totally. And never once did they ever say last contact because that's not a thing and no one knows what that is. But Burnham here says and the captain's like, "Let's do it." Explain what it is.
I think Pike is more. You got to give Pike a little more credit. She's like, you
But
need
he's
to
pretty
like
skeptical
let.
about the whole idea.
Yes, you need to let this thing do whatever it's gonna do to our ship. And he's like, no, we're gonna shoot it.
He's like, that seems like a bad idea. Let's
Yeah.
prepare the torpedoes.
Also, Spock's your brother, and he's getting away. So like, we should go. And then they do the whole like convince the captain moment that they do all the time.
Yeah.
Seems to be Pike's role is to just be convinced to do things.
Convinced to do what Burnham says.
Basically, yeah.
Right.
And then they do it. The blob is dying. It sends thousands and thousands of years of data to the Discovery and then explodes.
1.21 gigawatts.
But it doesn't kill them. It uses its reverse polarity field to push them backwards.
It saves them at the last moment.
Two things happen at the end here. One, they drill a hole in Tilly.
Right? Yep. Mm-hmm. We got it. Trepanation is definitely safe and certainly something you could do with a heated drill bit and not a lot of pain. I'm pretty sure that's how it would go. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess they had a med kit, so maybe they had her like dosed up or something. But yeah, it's bad.
They said the blob dosed her up. I can't imagine how much it would hurt to have a drill bit go through your head.
I mean, probably a lot, I'm pretty sure.
They do it in 1.5 seconds and there's no blood.
Oh, there's like a tiny little bit of blood, yeah.
Right. Okay. No,
Again,
at no time do either of those two people go, we could wait a few minutes for a doctor to show up.
yeah, what if we used the intercom and talked to the doctor? And now I know they're like, oh, at this point, engineering is like kind of sealed because of like whatever weird. There was a weird thing that happened
Power
where they
surge thing. I still don't even understand what because they tried to unpower surge the door with a link of gas. I even didn't take notes about it. It was so
dumb,
nonsensical what they
and
tried to do, and then it didn't
so.
work anyway. And you're like, what was the point of this? Just to shock?
I didn't take any notes about any of that because there was no point.
I don't understand.
Yeah, the whole point was to have an electric shock so that you could. They had to
free the
drill
blob.
hole and to free the blob. Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
And Tilly then gets like blobicized.
Yeah, it's weird because like the ship got attacked. Why didn't the blob just escape when the ship got attacked?
Well, I mean, you see why later, but you didn't know at this point.
I guess I just don't.
The whole point is that the blob doesn't want to leave. The blob wants to stay, as we find out.
Yeah. No, I just mean like they had to do this whole convoluted thing about like shocking the gas line or whatever when they could have just been like, and when the ship got hit with the pulse, like
it sealed the engineering deck.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of like overwriting sometimes. Just let the natural flow of things that you've already written do the work for you.
Yeah.
You don't need a tech way to do the thing that was already a thing. Drill a
So,
hole in Tilly and they talk to May a little bit.
mhm.
Uh, does the blob overtake her at the end of this? Yes. Right?
Yeah, yeah. That's their point, right? Like their point of doing this was so they could talk to May, and that's when May, like once May gets her,
She
like
tries to, Jet tries to burn May off of her,
right,
and then
and that's
May
when May goes full
cocoon.
the blob and then cocoons her. Yeah.
Yeah. And then she's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And Saru doesn't die, even though we go through another Love Fest death scene where
Yep.
Burnham is like, you
She
can't
has to
possibly
murder him
leave.
because now
He's,
he wants to die peacefully. So we have to do a euthanasia thing. And
yeah.
except that then magically, right as she's about to stab him, he gets better.
Well, she's supposed to cut his ganglia off, which will kill him.
So the idea I thought was that the pain centers were in the ganglia, and you cut them off so that he can die peacefully.
Oh, okay. Got it.
That was what I understood.
Instead, they just fall out, which is
So they just fall
disgusting.
out. It was gross.
And also, then he apparently is no longer afraid of anything ever, and he feels empowered. I rewatched his little speech here 2 times at the end to try and feel a connection to what the show writers were trying to say about Saru.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like his previous character was at times good, but mostly bad. And so I had a hard time seeing this whole episode as a way to make Saru not suck.
I think you're right.
Because
I
now he
think you're
can
right.
be a character that you can't write the scene. Every scene he's in, you'd have to write remembering that he's an abject coward.
Right.
And now they don't have to remember to do that anymore.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
But I don't want to take away. I really, it's Star
Character
Trek.
growth, but it sucks, right? So it's like it is say like, hey, we designed this species and all these people with all these like traits and stuff, but now in the example of the species that we have, we're going to change that because it's inconvenient.
That's the thing that I kept coming back to. I tried to sit on this, and this is my big note for episode 4, I guess. I tried to
Yeah, because I
sit
mean, it's at
on.
the end, so
Yeah, it's at the very end, and that's kind of like when you're left at the end of this. Okay, there's the story beat of like Tilly is taken to the mycelial network, and magically the blob has tracked Spock for us. Like those are the story
yeah.
beats,
Wow,
right?
that was pretty nice of it to
Yeah,
know that we were
but
doing that.
those are the story beats, and then you're left with the Trek character beats of like how did we advance these characters? How did we advance our universe? How do we advance our understanding of ourselves or whatever you want to say about the goals of Trek sometimes. And I tried to sit on this, and I don't know if you did too, but I tried to sit on this in the vein of what does it mean for this character specifically to have gone through almost death and to lose fear as a constant motivator and all this type of stuff. And I wanted to sit on it in some sort of revelatory way or some sort of like character development way. And what I kept coming back to is like, this really feels like a convenient way to take away what you said was the most definitive character trait of this character in a way that he doesn't have to grow.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to
we,
fight his nature anymore.
we initiated a biological change to allow him to have a character arc.
And it's more like at the end of season 1, I almost liked Saru because I had this understanding that he was sitting in the captain's chair as the XO, right? on their way to Vulcan or whatever. But he was going to sit in that captain's chair and have to overcome his personal nature every single time he made a decision.
Yeah.
That's an incredible thing to have to write, and it's probably very hard, but to say to a character and a species like, I don't like this because it means, well, the answer was always in his biology. There's no mental capacity he would have to overcome his fear, overcome his cowardice. It's just the universe was doing that to him, and so whatever this biological process is has now saved him from himself. It's like, oh my God, really?
It is a and the unfortunate part is that they do it so nakedly here, right? Like the way it was written is so broadly obvious that this is what they wanted. They really didn't like every time they had Saru on the bridge having to be like, okay, he's scared. How can we make it say that he's scared, but yes, he's fighting it? Like they didn't like that process, right? And I guess I get it, but also like that's the character you guys made. You made the character to do that. You didn't have to do that. You could have just not made it that way.
Or just it didn't have to be as strong as it was, right? You could have backed off of it and said
Yeah.
like, there's a room here.
Make it a personal growth instead of a
Even
biological growth,
right,
right?
even if you want to get rid of the ganglia so that you don't have to animate it anymore, right?
Mm-hmm. Right, sure.
That's fine. Do this arc, maybe somewhat, but like, there's room to have backed off and said like, you were conditioned to believe to be afraid all the time. Like
Yeah.
you said, he knows his species is basically livestock. So yeah, of course you'd be afraid all the time. And so you could back off the idea that biologically we're engineered to be terrified of everything. And just you were told to be afraid of everything, And
Right.
like use the ganglia as an excuse if you want, but like there's a character arc here that could have been written that's, those ganglia falling off just means you need to determine your own threats now. Like there's no
Just like how everyone else does,
right,
you know. It
exactly.
is it turns him more human, which is actually like a good thing, right? It lets you explore more sides of his emotional range and his character and stuff.
But
But you didn't need to get here by having some like near death experience and magical like biological process. You could have just had him get there with emotions and discussion. It would have been just as good, maybe better,
yeah,
probably better.
they came out so strong here at the end that they're just saying that the ganglia are gone, and for the first time in my life I don't just feel afraid sitting here is fine, I think.
That is a statement that you could envision a human making, being like, for the first time in my life, I'm not afraid. Like that's a thing people say in movies and stuff in these kinds of situations.
They keep
Totally fine
going
with
where
that.
it's like, I now have my own power. I now know that like my people
Hmm.
are suffering from this biological deficiency that's not true. And I struggle with this. And I would love someone to write in that believes more in this transformation than I do. Or
Well,
maybe I can reach out to somebody that believes
you
more
know,
in it than I do.
I think maybe you need to wait until episode 6.
Okay.
I know you
Okay.
don't watch the. I don't know you don't watch the next
I
on.
do not. You're right. Yeah.
And so let's table the discussion of Saru until we've seen episode 6.
Okay. 10-4. 10-4 word. We will move on.
So he doesn't die though. That's good.
He doesn't die. I don't mind him being on the show still, although the sweaty
Yeah.
blue stuff he was doing, I don't want to see again.
Yeah. Let's never go back into his quarters either. That was too gross for me. I didn't
Yeah.
like it. Um. All right. So and now episode 5 opens. And Tilly gets yanked into the cocoon again, right at the end.
Right. And
And
transported away. somehow.
We don't find that out yet, but
Right. We
basically,
spend way too much time trying to do it.
and then they discover that somehow magically it's a biological transporter, which is a thing now apparently.
Yeah. Did you catch that they changed the opening a little bit? I finally noticed it in episode 5 here.
They did.
Yeah, the Red Angels now in the opening and a couple other things from this
Hmm.
like the com badge or the not combat. Well, we find out they are com badges. Oh, we forgot to mention that yeah, so then the Starfleet badge changes into a Section 31 badge. Like a lot of weird asides have been added
In the opening, you mean?
in the
Or you
opening,
just
yeah, for this
yeah, I
season.
definitely didn't see that. I didn't see that at all.
Um yeah, so Tilly's gone. They catch up to Spock, they think,
Yep.
who fires on their ship, so they disable it. And wouldn't
Uh,
you know, it's
Hold on, here's my favorite part. Not my favorite part. One of the dumb parts of this episode is Pike's like, ready a class 5 torpedo and
What's a class-
detonated it. What is a class 5 torpedo? I'm like,
what's a class 5 torpedo?
I don't know, dude, but Pike does.
What's a class 5 torpedo?
That's what he says.
Memory.
He's like, detonate it like 100 feet before the ship,
Alpha.
okay?
I
You
remember
got it.
hearing that, and I sort of,
What's a class 5 torpedo, man?
I sort of wrote it off as like I don't.
I don't think the torpedoes have classes like that. They just have torpedoes.
The memory alpha page is 1, 2, 3 sentences long.
Uh-huh.
It's a class of torpedo used by cross-field class starships. So basically, we don't know what this is. It's only been used on Discovery,
Yeah.
and it's only been used. And
Probably
then
just one time.
and then it describes what happens in the Discovery episode. It's literally never been mentioned before, not once.
They've modified the fuses on torpedoes before. That's
Oh,
not even a
1,000%.
thing. That's
Yeah.
not a problem, right? Like it's happened tons of times throughout Star Trek.
That's a very cool callback where Burnham's like, "We should modify a
shoot it,
torpedo." They
You
did
can't
it.
Shoot at Spock.
They did it. They did it in the last one, right? In
Yeah.
episode 4, and I forgot to mention it. But there's a Spock modifies torpedo in Undiscovered Country, and Burnham modifies a torpedo in the episode 4. And so like that's cool, right? It's a little pairing, whatever. Moving on. Class 5 torpedo.
Class 5 torpedo. Sorry,
Class-
that was my note because it was so dumb.
It is that to me, one of those moments, right? It's one of those moments where you're like, who edited that? Like, where is the person that has watched all the Star Trek in that writer's room that read that and said, why is this a class 5 torpedo? Can't it just be a proton torpedo?
Yeah.
Or maybe they don't have proton torpedoes yet.
Yeah, they shot torpedoes at stuff before.
They have. They just call them torpedoes.
Bad.
Ugh.
I think actually your answer to that question is there is no one.
Oh, there's
in that
gotta
writer's
be.
room who
Someone's in
loves
there
and
that
watched a lot
knows
of
Star Trek.
Nah, I don't believe it.
Also,
I believe there are a lot of people in there that know Star Trek. I don't believe that there are a lot of people in there that like love it the way you and I do.
okay, but look, first of all, if you're gonna name it a class torpedo, wouldn't you want a class 1 torpedo where it's less yield?
Yeah, the least torpedo. You want the smallest
class
torpedo.
5 torpedo seems like a lot of
big,
yield.
man. Yeah, it sounds bad. It sounds big. You don't want that.
Or like if we're gonna make up torpedoes, why don't you have an EMP torpedo?
Sure, that seems like it'd be better.
Or we're just making up torpedoes and you got to animate some kind of explosion, so make an EMP torpedo.
There's no reason to call it a class anything. You just call it a torpedo and say blow it up, 100 feet before the thing. It would have been fine. No one would have said anything.
I don't.
All right, so we get like a clip of Giorgio on the Section 31 ship here.
So first Giorgio comes off the.
Oh, right. No, yeah. They
she's
pulled
the-
the shuttle in.
Yeah.
She's the one in the shuttle.
She's the one in the shuttle. Burnham
forgot.
almost shoots her, and every
was so
moment
good,
that
though.
she's on the screen, I love. I don't.
The scene where everyone's lasers or has their phasers pointed at the shuttle. The door opens. She walks out. Everyone puts their lasers down. Burnham raises it higher.
There's a really good walk and talk here. Um,
Yeah, I like that scene with
oh, but I think
Burnham
I'm
and
jumping ahead, but let's just go straight to the walk and talk. There's a
the
really
one
good
with
walk
Burnham
and
and
talk.
Georgiou.
The one with Pike and Burnham and Georgiou,
Oh,
where
I think
he
it might be here.
it
No,
might be here, but he's trying to reconnect with her. He's like, "Hey, we were at the academy together."
yeah, that was here. That was here.
Yeah, this is good because
This
we
is
start
good.
to finally get Pike as a character rather than just a captain.
Hmm.
You can see him feeling out why Georgiou is there without ever asking. And that
Yeah,
when she answers his questions, he's not satisfied.
yeah. You can tell, right? He asks the question. He's like, "Remember back in the my folksy attitude is going to throw you off here. Was I tell you how I am asking you this question about our old college days, and then when you deflect the question, don't answer it at all, and like just are like, haha, I know something is up."
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
good. It was really good. And
Uh,
you could see like Burnham doesn't clearly not paying attention, doesn't get it until Pike explains it to her later.
yeah, Pike's like, Georgiou's off. Something's weird here. And obviously she reveals that she's section 31 in the ready room there.
Yeah. Hmm.
Which, he kind of gets, but like,
But then
she's
that doesn't. You can tell he doesn't buy it because it doesn't square with his memory of her. Right.
right, exactly. He's like, she's not a section 31 captain. I don't understand what's happening here, basically.
Right.
And
And
so
then
like,
like, which is the opposite of what happens when his friend that is in Section 31 contacts him.
mm-hmm.
Right. And he's like, well, yeah, of course that guy would be in Section 31.
Of
Because like
course.
there's a past there and we haven't figured out all of it, and I
Right.
don't think we really get all of it by the end either, but
No.
we definitely you can see there's something going on, and he totally believes that guy would be section 31.
Pike, yeah. This is the opening salvo of why Pike is going to be a really good captain, I think. Okay, so we find out the pod is a transporter and Tilly is in the upside down.
Yes, Tilly's in the upside down mycelial network, and May now asks her to kill a monster for them
I
because
wrote,
there's
after
something that
she
they're
said
killing.
monster, I wrote,
You didn't like Stranger Things, Andrew? No.
I like Stranger Things. That show already
Okay.
exists.
Uh-huh, yeah. What about the Star Trek one though? This one.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
she tours her around and shows her that she's trying to bring her in because someone is killing the mycelial network, even though she's already said that discovery bouncing through the mycelial network is killing the network.
Yeah.
Apparently now there is also a monster.
Right.
Woohoo.
We get Ash being assigned as a permanent-ish
Yeah,
Section 31 liaison.
and this is maybe a good return of a character to the Discovery. We'll get
I didn't
to
I didn't hate this. I didn't hate the posting of Ash here makes sense from the like Section 31
this
wants
is
to keep
yep,
tabs on these people.
yep. This is what I'm
Stuff.
saying. This is a good use of an old character. Let's just keep it at that until we get to the rest of it.
Ash is Section 31. They're doing some weird stuff on Discovery. Section 31 wants to keep tabs on him. Put Ash there. He needs to be,
Yeah.
kept out of the limelight anyway because of who he is.
Right.
This makes sense.
Right. Put him back on the Discovery. He's been there before. People know it. I love the looks. They every single actor perfected
Gives him
their look.
Yes.
They
Give him a look. Everyone. He's sitting there in the break room and people walk out and they're like they give him a face.
The extras. Everybody, every single person. Yes. I don't know who directed this episode, but they nailed getting everybody to look at him the right way.
Yeah. And even the people on the bridge while they're working with him and he's just standing there.
Yeah. He is
like,
the
Pike
most.
And Pike is like, the liaison has to stay here and be quiet.
I love that moment where Ash is like ready to be like, I'm the dude that followed Lorca everywhere. And Pike's just like, no following me. Go away.
Liaison protocol. Please stay here.
Yeah. I love that. That's really good. It's like we're not falling back on our old traditions here of like the way we wrote this show. Pike's the different captain. You're not getting away with whatever you used to get away with.
I
But
love that.
that's good. That was a really good. And he's super duper intuitive, that guy, Pike. So they decide they're going to use the Discovery as a doorstop.
Yes, I just wrote doorstop in all caps. For
Yes.
this whole scene.
Because like you said, Pike's folksiness kicks in here, and we get
We got
Burnham knows what to do the moment. And
I
Stamets and Burnham give a huge briefing about what they're gonna do to break open the network and rescue Tilly.
yes.
And Pike sums it up in like, "So you're gonna use my ship as a doorstop."
Yeah. You know what? And in the grand tradition of everything in Star Trek having to be explained in a fun metaphor, I didn't hate this that much. I thought the whole idea was stupid, but you know what? When Pike said that, I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, your dumb folksy metaphor got me. This is all right. The plan that I thought was really dumb and the whole idea of it being stupid, like, yeah, calling it a doorstop. All right, I'm in. I'm in. You got me. And uh, the effects of it look pretty cool too. Once they actually like they move all the people to one side.
Really, I hated. Hate's a strong word. I didn't hate. I was huffing a little bit about this whole going into the network to save Tilly thing. I hated it later.
Yes.
But I was huffing about it a little bit because I'm kind of like, oh God, we're going to have an upside down thing and whatever. But like the moment that he's like, we're going to move everyone to one side of the ship and dip this thing in the other side. And if you cross the network, you're dead. And I was like, okay, all right, cool.
Yeah, it was really the only safe place to cross is in the magic chamber.
It reminded me of that Voyager episode where they're all hiding in the nacelles.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that kind of moment where I'm like, okay, all right, we've been here before. This is not new, just a different technology.
Get some like, Tilly themed horror with her and May running around the ship
Looking for
follow the monster.
guns and the monster. The monster, which apparently attacks Discovery every time it jumps. I thought when it started making noise that we were going to get something real cool. I don't know did you have a theory onto what the monster was?
So I did, but it was something totally else than what it ended up being. I thought it was like some kind of like alien or parasite or something that Discovery had brought into the network. Like,
I thought it was
like amoeba or something that then grew into something crazy.
I thought it was the alternate reality Stamets.
Oh, that would have been fun.
Because, whatever, he got lost in the network or something and he turned in.
He threw that guy into the sun.
No, I think
No?
that he.
They threw Lorca into the sun.
They threw Lorca into the sun. I'm gonna have to look up what happened to Terran Stamets. Maybe Lorca killed him. I can't remember.
Did Stamets kill Stamets?
Stamets did not kill Stamets. I don't remember if Lorca killed Stamets, but I thought he wanted him alive.
I feel like I remember evil Terran Stamets being killed. 'Cause he was the one that was poisoning the network because he was drawing all the power out to make that huge crazy ship or whatever.
Right, and I thought he like got sucked into the network or something. I can't
I don't remember.
remember what happened to him. Man, oh well. If you remember, email us at podcastwewergamers.com. Anyway, that was my working theory at the time when it started making noise. I was like, it's going to be some sort of weird alternate reality version of a monstrous Stamets or something like that.
But instead,
oh God,
it was much worse.
It was 1,000% worse.
Hey, do you remember that character that people liked and there was a really emotional death and stuff from the first season? Remember all that?
And the death of that character has driven one of the other characters since then to become a different person.
Yeah, it was like a lot of character growth and stuff.
There was a much like in TNG, a character died early on, and we were very surprised by it, and they stuck by it for a while. And then
It's Hugh. He's back in
so
Pog
I
form.
I held out hope. I held out hope for something that would happen here, and it started to happen here.
You're going to talk about, so they find out that it's Hugh,
So they find
and
out
they
it's
want to
Hugh, and
shoot
he's
him, but then they don't.
the May
And so
tries to kill him.
we'll just take him back with us. Everything's going to be great. And
Yeah.
then we'll take your monster away. No more problems. Yay. And Stamets pulls him across the barrier, and he can't come across the barrier because he's only energy, man.
Now he was built in the mycelial network, so he can't
It doesn't
leave
work outside.
because it's from another dimension. Even though May from the other dimension survived just fine.
By infecting Tilly or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
No one wants to talk about that.
So in the midst of "you're out of time" and everybody's screaming at them, we have 9 million minutes of them explaining why he can't cross, having a very emotional and very good goodbye.
Yes. I liked this part. I thought it was going to be that he had to leave him there, and it sucked, and it was going to suck.
It was very good. There was that moment of cringeworthy, oh no, why is it Hugh? And then he can't cross, and even though we're quote unquote out of time and all that, we still have the 9
Hugh
million.
is like, you have to let me go.
You have to let me go, dude,
I have
because
to sacrifice myself because I'm killing these people here. I can't stay. I
Yep.
need to go.
yeah, you need to go because the ship, you can't let people die for me on the ship.
Right, you're gonna, tarnish my memory and what I
yeah.
stood for and all this. It was great.
Very good scene. And everyone has accepted it. And there's literally a pause where all the characters are just like, so I guess we're leaving. And then Burnham opens her mouth.
The Deus Ex Burnham sweeps in.
And you're just like, and I wrote in large capital letters, no, don't try to save him, please, God.
This is the Darth Vader no scream.
Is a huge no scream for me.
Yeah, didn't like it.
And they unwrite maybe the most seminal moment so far in the show.
Cool.
To bring back a character that kind of had nothing to do before and will have nothing to do again.
Well, they have to have a doctor, and now they have one.
They had a doctor. They had a very nice Asian female doctor. I don't know her name, so I'm just trying to describe her.
They had to have a doctor with a name, and so now they do. It's bad. This
is terrible.
It's terrible.
It's really, this is what I was saying earlier. I really like re-adding Ash to the Discovery.
Mm-hmm. It was a good way to do it
because
he was a character that was out of place.
Yep.
And had to be out of the limelight because people knew who he was. And putting him back on the place where everyone already knew that problem and kind of grappled with it over some time makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And it furthers the goals of Section 31 and a whole bunch of other things. Like, it lines up and makes sense. This is just the writers were like, let's resurrect a character people liked. That's all I see with this. It makes no sense.
I debate last episode whether or not the Saru thing is good. I'm trying to see it as a good thing, but I debate it on the merits of writing and character development. This is just straight up terrible.
Yeah, this is garbage. This is like barely above fan fiction level writing.
It's terrible. It's like, we got to bring that Culber guy back. Why? Because we got to bring that Culber guy back. It's like, let a character die.
He was
He's
cool.
Dead.
People liked him. That's why.
And he's
cool.
good. He's
the
good.
Actor is nice.
Yeah, he's good as a memory. He was fine when Stamets saw him in the network and interacted with him. He's fine as a character that you could use as flashbacks. He's a good actor. People like him. Let the character die. He had nothing to do.
Nope.
Ash, now you're going to have to write a scene where he comes. This is purely to make it awkward between him and Ash, to create tension on the ship. Now Stamets is gonna find out that that Ash is back, and they're gonna hate each other. This is garbage.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
Garbage.
It's bad.
I I'm furious at this. I don't know what else to say other than that it makes. We've got to watch the rest of the season, and there better be some redeeming quality to having Hugh in this season. To have overwritten an extremely important death that you could have been using to develop a character for years. I'm sorry. I feel very strongly about this.
Clearly. But you know what? Hey, at this point, like I told you, I had gone full nothing matters anymore mode.
Yeah, you're in YOLO.
Yeah, and you know, look, it's not. I don't like it. It's bad.
All right, let's get back to the good stuff that happens towards the end of this. First of all, Tyler's got a badge communicator.
Yeah, I guess.
And Pike goes,
No one-
"What the heck is that?" when he taps it to ask for help.
Yeah, that was so fun.
It was really good. Where he's like, "Okay, things are really bad here," and taps the communicator. He's like, "We need help." And Pike's like, "What is going on?"
Yeah, I loved that actually.
And the does that ship
Decloaking asteroid?
decloak an asteroid? Does that ship to you look like a Romulan warbird?
Okay, so it looks
original
like
one?
something. Wait, the original one.
Yeah, so from the original series, the Romulan you saw one in Picard too. What's it called? It's not called
The bigger ones, not the like.
not the big one, the
dual wing
little flat one. What's it? Is it called a
didn't remind
warbird?
me of- It didn't remind me of any. The warbird is the like big dual
No.
winged
What's
one
the
thing.
what's the Romulan one that's flat with the nacelles on the sides?
I know what you're talking about. I don't. It didn't remind me of that.
It looked exactly like it to me.
It reminded me of a
Romulan bird of prey. It looks exactly like a Romulan bird of prey.
Huh. It didn't strike me as Romulan.
It's got the same fin. It's got everything. I'm looking them both up. I know that's research, but
Ruining
I'm
the
trying to find the
podcast.
name of the ship that they. There's the form.
Anyway,
cell.
I'll go, you look it up. I'm
Okay,
gonna
yeah,
keep
yeah,
talking.
go for it.
So they decloak an asteroid, and Section 31 helps them from sliding into the door while all of this garbage with Hugh is going on. And they attach these weird tractor beams, and Pike and his friend have like a kind of verbal fight over the over the view screen, which eventually Pike's like, "My ship, my rules," and he's like, "Okay, fine." And you know, all the garbage with Hugh happens. And he comes back, and then eventually the admiral pulls both of them together and is like, "Look here, boys, you bad children."
It's a strange
I'm-
scene, right? Where like
I
all
didn't
of a
like-
sudden
yeah, it was
she's
weird.
there, and you're like, what?
Yeah, was time meant to have passed here? We didn't like do a good job of.
It's strange, and she's not a
of emphasizing
hologram,
that.
so
Yeah.
weird.
So was she just on that ship the whole time, or like like
For a
think
second,
time
I
is
thought
meant
it
to
was-
have passed, but they didn't like do a fake of black.
I think you're right. It's a very strange scene. For a second, I was like, is that Giorgio in disguise?
I wondered if something weird like that was happening.
But
also.
it clearly was not, right? Because she talks about their past, and she's like, "You boys got to get along." You know, I want you.
I don't care if you guys stop trying to outmanly each other. Get in there and work together. It's an order. You know.
Yeah, Pike definitely does the like. I don't like what you're doing, but I guess I accept that you have tough decisions to make. He's like,
It's a really shitty way to say like I'm sorry, but like yeah.
but he's not sorry. That's the thing,
No,
right?
he's not. He's not.
Yeah, he's definitely not sorry. He's
No.
as far as captains go, he might be the most not rich is the wrong word because he obviously bends the rules, but he has the truest north compass so far that I've seen for a captain.
In this series, absolutely. It's not even the contestant. There's no one in this series that has had a compass that points the right way thus far. Really. Burnham's is like generally the right way, but like kind of
North
swinging
northeast.
back and forth there. Yeah, not really always getting a true north.
Mhm.
This guy is pointed like straight on till morning.
Yeah. Yeah, that thing doesn't move. I
So
really
it, yeah,
yeah. Oh, and then we get the most important line, man. That the admiral, because she wasn't satisfied, sent research ships to those nebulas that disappeared. And what did they detect, JJ?
yeah.
Oh,
The
you got
magic particle tachyons,
the magic tachyon, which
so that they
Section
say the
31
words
immediately the
time travel.
time. Yeah, he's
It's got to be time travel then, right? That's the only thing it possibly could be. And then Pike's like, or transporters, or like 10 other things.
I love that.
They're
I
not well
love that.
studied.
It's such a good dichotomy between the two of them, where like she's like tachyons, and he's immediately like, "We're being invaded from the future," and Pike's like, "Hold your roll." There could have been
transporters,
literally
or
anything,
energy discharges, or
or
a laundry
just tachyons in a
machine,
nebula that disappeared.
or
Pretty
it could be a
good.
washing machine was on too long, or there was the like someone
Yep.
left a spaceship out to dry, like 50 other things. Time travel,
Oh man, I'm crying. I'm laughing so hard. This is so
just
good.
silly, such a silly
It's
end to this whole thing.
but that is the fan service I want. That's the Star Trek fan service, right? Where it's like, we got to hit him with the tachyons now. You're just like,
Gotta
okay,
hit him with the time travel.
sounds
Let's
good.
go,
Let's
boys.
do it. We did alternate reality. Let's hit the time war. Let's do it.
Yeah,
We did the Terran Empire already.
like
Let's get some tachyons.
like I told you, like I was already like way over it at this point, and so like when they said time travel, I was just like, "Let's go, crack a beer." It's
It
like,
makes
whatever,
sense, right?
we're doing it.
If the Red Angel knows stuff and is telling Spock stuff, it's got to be something time travel related.
I mean, that was the opening theory from the beginning of the when they showed it, right? Like
Yep.
anyway.
Yeah.
Ah,
Okay, so you need to look up on Memory Alpha, look up the Romulan bird of prey, find a good picture of it,
give me a sec.
and then while you're finding that, we have to talk about the last scene with the hologram Giorgio.
Yeah. So okay,
Okay, so
I
that's
see this picture of the Romulan bird
All
of
right.
prey. I see how you
now
see
so
the resemblance.
so look up the ship NCIA, which is a terrible acronym because we know what we're going for there. NCIA 93. That's the name of the ship we're looking at. And other than it being a triangle instead of a circle, tell me that that's not a Romulan bird of prey.
Eh.
It's the same exact shape, dude. Same winged back nacelles.
Eh.
Okay, all right.
Eh.
You don't see it. All right,
Yeah.
that's fair.
It's too angular. The Romulan one is more curvy.
Well, but everything in this show has become more angular. Like, look at the way the Enterprise looks now.
Okay, but I'm just saying it doesn't look the same to me.
Okay.
So that's the
To me, this looked like we stole the design of the Romulan warbird to make our own stealth ship.
well, that may be how they got the cloak technology. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool looking, whatever it is.
yeah,
I like the design of it a lot.
I think it's cool looking. Absolutely, I would never argue against that because it is extremely cool.
Yeah. I'm into it. I'm also into the fact that, like, Section 31's just hiding all the good technology, like comm badges and stuff. Okay, so Giorgio tells Burnham, you need to start trusting me. I keep saving your life, and I'm not doing it because I need something from you.
Uh huh.
Right.
What was Berta? And she's like, "Yeah, at some point you have to trust me."
Said
She's
the
said the
said
scorpion
to the frog.
to the frog. Yeah, exactly. At least Burnham is rightly skeptical.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. For all her magical thinking, she's not. She's very pragmatic.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Sure of herself, but very pragmatic. I think I leave episode 5 with a complaint that I've already said, and that's literally it. I couldn't stop myself, but that was my thought about the whole episode. Was like, I really love a lot of this stuff. I really do. And I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
keep feeling like 3 through 5 here, you and I got to the same place of just like, fine, whatever. We're doing whatever we want with the mycelial network still. I'm still not
Yep.
getting my wish that it will go away, but whatever, I
Nope.
accept whatever this storyline is. Let's move on. And then she just feels so betrayed.
Yeah. I can't, you said it so much better than I could already. Like, I super don't like what they're doing with Dr. Colbert here. It's just bad.
It's a it. I know that there are people that feel differently. There have to be,
It undoubtedly.
and I
I
I
assume they brought
welcome.
this character back because of market research or something. Like, I can't
I
see
don't
because
know.
there's no narrative reason to do it at all.
Yeah, they're gonna have to prove it to me because this is not. And I would gladly, openly, and wholeheartedly debate why I think this is bad. I have much stronger feelings on it than I do on the Saru change. But we've got 2 episodes in a row here, 4 and 5, where they just hit the undo button on a lot of work,
Yep.
and I don't know why. And it's frustrating as someone that watches Star Trek, and Star Trek is not a show that never brings people back from the dead. I mean, Spock, they literally did a whole movie about it with Spock.
I said there's literally a whole movie about doing it with Spock. So we can't complain
I
from that
can't
angle, and we're
complain.
not. I don't think that's the reason that we don't like it.
I think though, what happened with Spock is he died in a movie, and before there's more character building on top of him being dead, they're like, "Hey, bro, he might still be alive."
They literally, and to be fair, I don't think either of us were like seeing these movies at the time when they came out, right?
No, absolutely
How
not.
much time was there between Star Trek 2 and Star Trek 3?
Got to be like 2 to 3 years.
Max, though, right? And Star Trek wasn't on the air at that point anymore
No, it had been off the air for like
for years.
10, 15 years. 15 years,
Yeah.
I
So
think.
there's no other character building happening in between here. It's the one movie comes out. People are like, oh, they killed Spock. Wow, that's really sad. And then the next movie comes out. And they even leave a kind of a hint at the end of that movie, right? That
Yeah,
like he
absolutely.
lands on the Genesis planet, stuff's growing. It's gonna
Yeah, two
da da da.
years. 2 years.
And then 2 years later, they come out with the next movie,
And it's called The Search for
The Search
Spock.
for Spock. And so there's like already a like, oh, okay, he's not really dead. Like
He might not
there
be
was no
dead.
time in between those two, really. Like, yeah, 2 years is time to wait or whatever. But the characters froze. Everyone waited. We pick up the next day, 2 years later.
Right.
Like,
Literally. Yeah.
yeah,
Like they're
here,
still on the raggedy broken ship. I mean, it's like
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and here we have, you know, besides the literal time that has passed, you know,
showtime
years.
a lot of
Yeah,
time.
a lot of time happened in the show. At least a year or two, based on how they talk about like Ash and them and how they left Kronos and getting back, and so it's bad. It's very bad.
How do you feel overall about Discovery season 2 so far?
Yeah, I mean it's such a
It's
mixed
hard not
bag,
to be
man.
frustrated right now.
Yeah, yeah, it's such a mixed bag. I enjoy the like weird character moments that they have that are like really good sometimes.
Yep.
And
I'm
then they surround them with stuff that I just am like constantly rolling my eyes at or just like deciding that I need to turn my brain off because we have to have a fight scene here or something. Yeah, I don't know.
I I'm into the whole Section 31 aspect of this. I'm into the fact that it's tied into our main story. I love the foil that we've got of Giorgio and Leland versus Captain Pike in the same mission. They've
Yeah,
set up a great
this is the stuff
narrative
that I
structure.
this is the stuff that I'm liking, right? Like I'm so into the idea of like Section 31 is here and there's clearly something else going on
Section
with
31
this.
is always a thing that's like, max 3 episodes, right? Like
Yeah.
nothing. There's almost never Section 31 for this sustained amount of time. And the idea that we're going to get a look into it when it's like in its nascent state, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When it's more accepted than later in the Star Trek universe. Because right
Yeah.
now they've just been through a huge war with the Klingons, and like
The
they're
Admiral's like, we need them, despite what you say. Like,
yeah,
these guys are important.
yeah, and
And when they show
they're
up later, everyone's like, screw these guys.
right. Their
Like,
most decorated captain right now gets explained why they need Section 31, and he's just like, okay. Like in the future, if Jean-Luc Picard was like confronted with Section 31, I can't imagine. Right?
oh, no, Picard would throw a fit, man. That's
Yeah.
not how things are done in the Federation. That's not what we do. It's not what we stand for.
Right.
You know?
So this like nascent 31 that gets such wide latitude from even people like Pike is an interesting section of Star Trek to explore. And it's the direction that this season needs to go. We do not need more mycelial network resurrections, right? Like the mycelial network thing they set up in episode 3 that like, hey bro, jumping through the spore drive thing is killing
us.
the mycelial network. That's where we could have left it. There could have been a cool episode of like Pike is arguing in front of the Star Trek command that like we can't use the spore drive anymore, like, and we have that like kind of very Star Trek
yeah, it's like, are we willing to commit genocide in order to use this mode of travel?
Exactly. We're committing genocide. We have to have our Star Trek. What do you call it? The like
put
the
our ethics
courtroom,
hats on here,
the courtroom episodes, right? Like,
Yeah. And some of those episodes there are beloved TNG episodes that are just like literally courtroom dramas.
yeah.
And they're good because has nothing to do, like, they're still Star Trek-y. They're about sci-fi stuff and topics that, wouldn't make any sense in an actual courtroom these days. But they're good because the writing and the scenes go together and make sense. And it is an interesting topic to explore in that setting when you can't normally explore topics like that in that setting.
Yeah. It's very emotional whiplash for me on like half of each episode I'm loving and half I'm just like, please, let's move on.
Yeah. It's really, there is like, I don't understand. There is like some person somewhere in this structure that is like, every episode needs to have these 5 things. And here they are. We have to have one really awful, terrible thing that happens.
Mm-hmm.
We have to have some good character moments that people that like Star Trek are going to like. We have to have a bunch of character moments that make no sense and have no motivation. We then also need to have like some fight scenes and some explosions or something.
Right.
All right, go ahead and write that script.
Yeah.
I don't know. I am with you because I'm conflicted, right? Like there are parts of this stuff that I'm super enjoying, and then there's the rest of it that I'm just like my eyes are rolling back into my head, and like I don't have enough beers here to drink in order to make me like this. So I don't know, man. It is.
Are we gonna keep going?
Yeah, I mean, we're already here.
Okay. We're committed.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I do watch the next on thing, so I think we're gonna get a Saru episode.
Okay.
Next. So
that's all I want to know. I don't
that.
want to know more than that.
That's all I'm gonna tell you.
All right.
So we'll see, and we'll do some more of these.
Absolutely.
2 or 3 more.
I think if we do them in 3s, then we have this is 5, so 8
on a good thing.
So 5, so 6, 7, 8, 10, 11. Are there 11 or 12 episodes in this season?
Great question. Don't know. 2, 12. I'm gonna say 12.
Looks like
I didn't actually look.
Oh, they have overall, so that's not helpful. Okay, here we go. There are 14.
Yes, 14.
14. So if we're doing this by 3s, this is 5. So 6, 7, 8 is our next one. 9, 10, 11 is the one after
This is
that.
perfect. We'll end on 14.
We'll end on 14. So we have 3 more months of episodes for you about Star Trek Discovery Season 2. You'll get to live it along with us if you'd like. Those are our breakdowns for our next episodes, even if you want to just read the synopses if you watched them before. And hopefully I have less strong emotions than next time.
Or like maybe we have strong emotions, but about different things, you know?
Yeah, hopefully, yeah.
Good, positive emotions.
Yeah.
More,
I really am going to have to
more
get
positive.
proved on Culber. I can't with him.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
We're
I like
together.
that. I want to be very, very, very clear. Very clear. Okay? I think his name is Cruise. It's not Tom Cruise. Now I have to look it up. Wilson Cruz,
The actor?
the actor, Wilson Cruz. I have seen him on multiple shows, and I quite enjoy him. Especially, there was a show I was watching where he was a lawyer, and he's very good as a lawyer. He's got a great gotcha face. You know, like when his characters say something that stop other people in their tracks. He delivers those lines really well. This is not about bringing back an actor or anything like that. It's only to me that Stamets as a character needed something interesting about him.
Yeah.
The
thing that I'm mad about here is the neutering of the character, right? It is the thing that makes no sense. From the logic standpoint, we've already given up, right? We're over it. Clearly, there's no logic involved here at all. But they are ruining the characters by doing this. Like, they spent time giving this character an arc, and they took the arc away and made it meaningless now. Why would you do this? Why did you write that arc?
There was a moment here where all of it was good. Where my
that part where he tried to pull him across the barrier and it didn't happen.
That moment when his
and then
hand
they had
disappears.
To say goodbye.
Oh my god. It was so good. It was so good when his hand just doesn't make it through and you're like, "Oh. Okay."
Yeah.
Then
I was super mad and then they did that and I was like, "Oh,
they got me."
Wow.
Like, I really believed I knew when I saw his face in the mycelium, I'm like, they're gonna bring him back, and I'm really and I was just so down, and I kept watching, and his hand doesn't go through the thing, and I instantly sat up, and I was like, oh wow, you lulled me into thinking that I knew what you were gonna do. You're taking this character away from him again. This is awesome.
It could, because if that had been where they went, it was like a great plot line. Like maybe one of the best that they've done in a long time. Like, not just in this show, but like a Star Trek plot line.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I agree. I think I would have been singing the praises of that episode if it had stuck.
Absolutely.
It's such a weird moment to have turned on a dime the quality, and it's got to prove out. They've got 9 more episodes to prove it out to me. Mm-hmm. Ugh. All right. That'll do it for us on this episode of Subspace Transmissions. Rate, subscribe, talk, send us emails, podcast@weweregamers.com. You can find it on YouTube.
Yeah. And when you subscribe to us on YouTube, you can hit that little bell icon. It'll notify you whenever these pods get posted. So you don't have to like be pretty sure you know.
Yeah.
Because sometimes sweet videos like Andrew and Michael playing Portal go up not on the standard schedule, and you don't know when those are going to come, because, to be clear, I also don't know when those are going to come. And that video is pretty good.
Did you? We got stuck.
Y'all got stuck. I jumped through some of the puzzles at some points where, like, I was clear like you guys had got it, and then it was like the execution.
Yeah.
It's like you stumble a little bit there, and I'm like, zipping forward a little bit, and then you guys got stuck, and it was pretty funny.
So one of those
Double
puzzles.
funny because like I saw what to do,
Oh
and so like
no.
I knew what you were supposed to do, and y'all didn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
That's part of it.
that's part of it.
Yep. I think my favorite moment from that was when we just kept dying to the turrets because we didn't see the extra wall. Anyway. Yeah, and even if you're like, okay, I'm not into that, you can subscribe to playlists too, and these Star Trek episodes go up in a playlist. You can just sub to that. So enjoy.
Yeah, yeah. So if you just want the Star Trek stuff, it's there for you.
See you next month, everyone.